That's real common when people, but one of the things with motivation, and this is a huge problem. Remember, there's 7 major categories that will limit you from going to the next level, growing your practice. You grow your practice in 5 levels, and there's one of 7 reasons, whether it's space, labor, equipment, knowledge, skill, motivation, HR resources, is motivation. And what happens is, and this is exactly what happened with you guys. You weren't doing as well, and you wanted to do better, so it created an uncomfortable feeling, so you contact me to do better. And you go to right to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You are constantly in the income level of your security being challenged, kind of bobbing up and down. And that alone creates motivation. Well, what happens when you start making a higher income and you get out of survival and security? 80% of people's motivation goes to hell because they're out of survival and security. And that's what happened to you guys.
Mm-hmm.
You increased your income significantly and you got lazy. You lost your discipline and you lost your motivation. That's common. That's common. I said there's only 20% of the people that overcome that. And those are the people that have real high pain-based imprinting as a child. 80% of the people will do exactly what you did once they're out of security, they stop. And that's what you guys did. You started making enough money to where you felt comfortable stopping.
How to get back there? How do you reel yourself back in?
That's a good question. That's where I came up with, and again, all of this is based on human psychology.
Right.
So there's a way to do it, but there's about 10 steps. There's about 10 steps that you have to do to get from complacency to create motivation to actually want to do something to get to the next level. There's about 10 steps you have to do. So you either pony up and you ride with it and bust through your fears and inhibitions, or you basically start blaming everybody else, and then you'll even call him names, and relationships deteriorate. There's a lot of people I left behind as I grew. I had to, because they weren't willing. They weren't willing to go. They weren't willing to keep growing on the path. When I say growing, I'm talking about business growth. They weren't willing to keep doing the things that it was needed to be done to take on the first associate doctor, the second associate doctor, opening 1 office, 2 offices, buy real estate. They all quit. They did what you did. They just sat in their practice and saw patients and went home. Well, guess what? They're working right now. They have to work right now. 30 years later, 20 years later. And some of them have died. I've had 5 friends in the last 3 years that died that were under 63.
Oh, man.
Everybody thinks they're going to live forever. No, you keep on this path you're at, you're going to have to keep working until you die. And you're not going to be able to take a lot of vacations, not take a lot of time off. You're going to miss a lot of family activities, and you're not going to have a higher quality lifestyle. And that's the average chiropractor, because you get stuck in this plateau. You're making enough, but not enough.
Right.
That's like one of the worst doctors that comes to me is somebody seeing like 120, 130 visits a week. They're making $150,000 a year. Well, where does that put them in the survival security? They're not in survival.
Right.
They're not in security. So where do I know their motivation is? It's for shit.
Not really.
That's the hardest person that I have to work with. I got a guy right now in survival. He calls me fucking 3 times a day. You don't call me 3 times a day.
Right.
Why does he call me 3 times a day? He's in survival. You're not. See the difference?
Yes.
He's a natural motivation. He doesn't have to be taught that. That's human survival he's in. I don't have to give him rah-rah speeches. His ass is in the grind. He knows he's got to survive. See,
Yep.
these are all different levels. So you guys have reached a level of comfort out of survival and security in a comfort zone with your income that's comfortable, but it's not enough to live a high quality life or to create investments, passive investments, to where you don't have to work. And it's worse when you don't know any better and you start spending your money on taxable depreciating liabilities, because that's what doctors do.
Mhm.
They'll start spending it on the big the 60,000 SUV, and then they'll get two of them, one for the wife. Taxable depreciating liabilities with monthly payments. And there you go. You're fucking stuck. You're stuck. So you got no motivation, but you got to get your ass to work to pay the bills, to live a little higher quality life. And you got nothing going on for you in the future.
Makes sense because we went from, maybe 100 a week. Now we're going 200 and it's doubling what we were seeing, and
Yeah. You
so,
guys went from 70 each to 140 each roughly.
right.
You increased your income at least $100,000 each.
Yeah.
And there you go. There you go. Comfort level skyrockets, natural motivation decreases. And that's why you're not doing recordings. That's why we're so far behind.
Yep. Yeah.
It's a sliver. You're hanging on by a sliver, and I'm the only person in your world willing to call you out on it. Nobody's willing to do what I just did to you.
Mm-hmm.
I just confronted you. Nobody's willing to do that. I'm the only person. That's it. I'm the only person right now in this world who's willing to confront you, to challenge you, to increase your quality of life for your kids and your family. That's what I just did.
Right. Because you see potential, you see what could happen, you've seen it happen before to other offices. So, I don't want to be working the rest of my life,
Yeah, you're the 80% norm. What you guys are doing is what 80% of the chiropractors do. But you got to recognize it, and then you got to put the systems in place to break out of it, so you don't just, because you're in a bad spot right now. A comfort
Right.
zone is a bad spot. It gives you it gives you a good life, but you have to work for that good life.
Mm-hmm.
And then you don't have disposable income. You got a good income, but now you don't have the disposable income to make the investments to create a passive income to where you don't have to work.
Makes sense.
That's the classic doctor scenario. That's why doctors make a good income. They have low net worth, and they typically have to work until they die. Most chiropractors have to work until they physically can. There's not many chiropractors that retire early. I mean, I retired at 33. My friend retired at 50. That's unheard of. That's unheard of. Most of them have to work because, they did what you did, and then they stopped. And then they bought, like I told you, taxable depreciating liabilities with monthly payments with no disposable income for passive income. Well, get your ass to work. And usually you have to do that until you're 65, 70. There was a guy, chiropractor I know, he just retired at 82. He had to work till he was 82. Matter of fact, he still needed to work. He just stopped working because he physically couldn't anymore. He had to have back surgery. So he moved in with his girlfriend because he couldn't maintain the same quality of life. This is real common. This is real common. I see it all the time.
I'm 42, so I want to retire when I'm 50. That'd be nice. At 8 years, 8 years, I'd like to be able to retire.
Well, you're not on the path. You're definitely not on the trajectory to do it.
Right.
You guys have jumped up quick and then you plateaued.
Mm-hmm.
You've kind of stayed stagnant for about 4 months now.
Yes.
And remember, every quarter, what did I say about every quarter? What's the rule?
Reevaluate what you did.
Every quarter, you should either have an increase in income from a system you put in place, or you put a system in place that quarter that's going to increase your income the future quarters. That did not happen with you guys the last quarter. You plateaued. We didn't get anything done to move forward last quarter.
You're right.
That's how you need to look at it. You need to look at quarter to quarter,
Okay.
because next thing you know, you're not doing anything quarter after quarter, and it's 5 years later. And you're stuck at the same visits. You're going nowhere in life, and you're stuck having to pay your bills. So you have to get your ass to work.
Yeah, a quarter almost over this first quarter already.
Right. Yeah.
Got a month left.
That's how you think of it. It's like, okay, what can we do once a quarter? We're either putting something in place that's going to increase our income in the future quarters, or now we're reaping the rewards of an increased income because of something we put in place in the last quarters. And if you just stick with that mentality quarter to quarter, it's amazing how fast things go up. But you guys haven't. You plateaued.
Yep, and it's all starts from the ground foundation of patient education. It's just
Well, right now you guys have a motivation problem now. You didn't before because you weren't seeing the number of patients.
Mhm.
So you get this nice little bump up in income, and there goes motivation out the window.
you know, busier, you're more tired. Like, gosh, it's like we get there. I don't want to be doing this forever. You're right. So we definitely got to.
Well, when you weren't doing as well, you
Mhm.
said the same thing, but you didn't let it bother you because you needed to do better.
Mm-hmm.
But you're definitely out of survival and security relative to your income with what you're doing now.
Yep.
But like I said, you're stuck. You buy your higher quality life items. You got to go back to work. You have no disposable income. You're not creating any investment to create passive income in the future. There you go. Go ahead and do that quarter after quarter after quarter. Next thing you know, it's 20, 30 years have gone by, and you still got to work, and you got no real source of passive income. You didn't enjoy your life. Your kids grew up and went out of the home. You didn't get to coach them in their basketball team or baseball team, or you didn't get to go to your daughter's dance classes.
Mm-hmm.
It's so sad. I mean, those 5 chiropractors that I told you died, none of them had associate doctors. None of them went to Europe. They couldn't take the time because they had to be in their office. They didn't take much time off. I mean, how many of those guys you think when they died thought, man, I wish I'd have seen more patients?
Right. None of them.
You see how ridiculous that is?
Yeah.
I wish that I would have been in the office more to see more. I wish I would have helped more patients. Is that what you think you're going to say on your deathbed?
No.
Hell no. You're going to say, man, I wish I'd have listened to Dr. Paul and built the practice up, got associate doctors, and been able to go camping with my kids. And take them to Disney World, or take them to Paris, or because they're going to be grown. They're going to be gone.